Coming up.
And at this point, I knew I was screwed. First year, there goes my degree. How am I supposed to call my mom and say I have time going at the moment? And I have decided that while my experiment is running, I am going to shoot a story time. A story time. Let's talk about how Siri almost ruined my degree. So anybody who knows me, or at least if you watch some of my previous videos, you see that like Siri and I don't have the best relationship. We've never like really gotten along per se. But hey Siri, what's the weather forecast today? Hey Siri. What's the weather forecast today? Hey Siri. But this day spark is way past just like a couple months or like a year ago. It's been since 2016 when I started my bachelor's or undergraduate degree. So backstory, I did my bachelor's in biochemistry. So I did my bachelor's in Oxford. I did my bachelor's in Queen Mary, University of London, and then I did my master's in chemistry before coming here to, start my DPhil. And prior to that, I wanted to become a medic. I wanted to go into medical school. And somehow I ended up in biochemistry, but that's another interesting story time for another day. And so when I started off in biochemistry, I started off with so much vim. Like I was like, I am going to study the life out of biochemistry. I'm going to become the best biochemist I can. I'm going to study. I don't have time for nonsense. I don't have time for games, partying, all of that kind of stuff. So I was very much that student who was in the library like 13 hours a day, and this is no exaggeration. I spent a ton of my time in undergraduate in the library. I spent more time in the library than I spent in my house. And why am I getting to this? It's just because like I was just very like into what I was doing, and I wanted to do everything I can to come out with the best possible grade. Like I really wanted a first class right from day one of my undergraduate. And so when I started first year, and some universities in the UK, the first year does not really count. It's kind of like to just like equilibrate the students and get the smartest students, to have a bit of buffering time, and people who need to catch up to also catch up. But in Queen Mary, the first year counts for 10% of your final grade, and so basically every year matters and every day matters. And so we're studying. So we started this module called cell biology, and I think 7 weeks into the course, or into the module, we had a test, and that test was 10% of the grade. And usually when you have tests like that in first year, they would be like 2.5% or like 2%, because it's your first test and you're in first year, to give you enough time to actually understand how the module works. So in case you, for example, like flop it and fail, it's just 2% of the final grade. But for whatever reason, this guys or whoever was in charge of the course decided that 10% of the grade was the perfect number. And so of course everybody was stressed. It was our first test ever in university. Yeah, my head was all over the place. I was there in the library and I was studying. I had like 3 textbooks and stuff, and I was trying to understand the material. I was like, I'm going to know the best out of this material. And to make it nice, and maybe because it was 10%, he said it was going to be an MCQ, it's multiple choice questions. And we had this thing in Queen Mary called clickers. They were like, how can I explain it? They were like little remotes, like kind of like a time, like kind of like how my timer looks. So basically the idea behind it was we had a massive, not really massive, but yeah, quite a big auditorium, and everyone was like, sat there and ready for the test, whatever you call it, test, exam. And I've got 4 minutes left, and he projects the questions on the board, and not project them for too long because it's quite a big auditorium and you guys are sat next to each other, and you'd have your clicker close to your chest, and the multiple choice questions will come up A, B, C, D, E, whatever, and you click whatever answer you think it is. Now, so each clicker is registered to your name and your student ID. So whenever you click it, his computer picks up the answer from your clicker and automatically like marks you, so if you got it correctly or you failed it. And the idea behind using clickers to answer questions is that like it's kind of like polls. By the end of the test, basically everybody already has the results, so he just needs to like moderate and see if the crowd follows what he thinks he would, whatever the case is, and then publish the results. So we're using clickers, and it was multiple choice questions. And so the fact that we're using clickers already tells you that there's bound to be a lot of cheating. So the 2 things he had said: one, he was not going to put the multiple choice question up for way too long, and 2, he was going to be super duper strict. So he was the only lecturer in the exam hall, and we had and it was kind of like, it was built kind of like a cinema, like, you know, when it's going up this way, so he can kind of see everybody, and it was not like a level, you know, just a level whatever, you get what I'm talking about. Anyways, so we start this multiple choice questions, and he's warned us that I'm going to be really strict. If I hear anybody whispering, you failed the test, I'm going to fail you. And also, I think a couple of years before that, Queen Mary kind of tightened up the regulations regarding cheating. Like, I think they caught a number of people cheating. So if you're caught cheating in a test, not only were you going to fail that test, but you're going to fail that module. So you're going to get a 0% and get reported. So if you ever get caught cheating in like a test, exam, or if they think you're cheating, you're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Cool. So I'm like, that's fine. You know, I've studied so hard for this test. Everything is going to be fine. And no one ever really called me during my bachelor's. I think my parents and my family really understood I spent a lot of my time studying, so I barely would get calls during the day. Most times I would like make the calls out in the evening, or they'd call me, or like they'd know to call me in the evening. Anyway, so my phone is on silent. You know, I've locked my phone, put it in my bag, put the volume on 0, all of that kind of stuff. Talk to your side, and I'm like, yeah, cool, we're ready for this exam. And back then I wasn't using this type of iPhone. I was using the iPhone 5s, you know, where you had the middle button for, you know, your home. Yeah, where you had the home button just right on the screen. And so I tucked my phone nicely away in my backpack, and how do I explain it? So I kind of put in like the front part of my, I wasn't using this backpack, but I put in the front part of my backpack, put it in there, put it on the floor, and put my legs on it. So I was like, cool, my phone is tucked away, everything's tucked away, my books are tucked away, nothing is on me, everything is my bag, and my legs are on the bag. And so he starts putting up these MCQ questions, and he would read out the question for those at the back who can't really see properly, or, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Read out the questions and give you a couple seconds to click your answers. And so while this was going on, I was clicking my answers, and you know, the test was getting like progressively difficult, and I was like, this is not what we this is not what I studied for. Did I get the wrong scheme? Is this the same classes I've been going for? So I was already stressed. I was like, I think I flopped this test. Like, I'm trying my best, but these questions are looking, my time is almost done. I flopped this test, but this question is looking, you know, a bit sketch, a bit difficult. So I'm there, and you know, I can kind of also see the reaction on my friends' face. I mean, I can't like just turn left or right and see how they're doing, but I can see like when questions are coming up, you know, people having the heavy breaths, this type of like, what is this? So there we're going on. Oops, BRB. So people there, and they're having the breaths and that, you know, the whole like what's going on kind of thing, because the test is quite difficult. Anyways, as we're going on with the test, I must have somehow pressed on my home button, you know, for my iPhone, which then would activate Siri. It's like, hey Siri, like, and then Siri would like say, hi, how can I help you, kind of thing. And so as he read the question, I must have stepped on my back too hard or whatever and activated my Siri. So when he read the question, like, I don't know, what kindnesses are involved in this pathway regulation, cancer, whatever the case is, Siri was already activated. So by the time he was done reading the question, Siri went, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. And the hall was silent, and Siri was so loud. He read the question, and Siri said, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. And at this point, I knew I was screwed. I said, yep, there goes this test, there goes cell biology module, 0%, there goes my first year, there goes my degree. How am I supposed to call my mom and say I failed my degree because of Siri? It's like, what am I supposed to tell my... So I'm there, and when Siri went off, I was sat there and I was like, I'm screwed, I am screwed. But here's the thing, when Siri went off like that, if I looked like I'm screwed, he's going to know he's going to know it's me. He's going to, because he was looking at us, like he's looking at our side of the hall, and he was looking really upset. So I'm there, like having to keep a poker face, knowing very much that my degree is on the line. So I'm there and I'm like, and my friends around me, luckily, are also not panicking, and so no one can say anything, and we're just there. Lecturers looking at the side of the hall, we're like, And oh, I should also add that I was at the back of the hall, because I always sat at the back in lectures, whatever. I would always sit at the back, which also makes it extra suspicious, because I'm at the back of the hall, so it's probably thinking that they're the back of the hall because they want to cheat in the test. And yeah, he's looking at our side of the hall, and I'm like, yeah, I am screwed. I am screwed. All that work in the bin. And he looks at the side of the hall, keeps quiet for like a couple seconds, and the hall's quiet, and you know, the palpitations. Oof, I can still feel how I felt on that fateful morning. Anyways, I'm guessing he uses an iPhone as well, or some sort of Apple device, because I guess he figured from the reply Siri had that if I was going to cheat, why would I ask Siri the question he's asking? I would just go straight to the lecture notes if I was trying to use my phone. And he just lets it slide. And yeah, and so for the rest of my degree, for the remaining 3 years of my degree, and even for my master's, which was not like examined, like physical examination or whatever the case is, I just deactivated Siri from my phone, and I absolutely hated Siri. I never used Siri for anything, and I only turned on Siri again like a year ago. And even with that, like, Siri still decides when she or he wants to answer to me. And yeah, so yeah, that's a quick story time of how Siri almost ruined my degree, and how I really do not appreciate Apple Siri, even if I know it's, I don't know, maybe my negligence or my fault, or I don't know what must have happened. I stepped on the home button and Siri went off, or Siri just decided to, you know, whatever the case is. But yeah, hope you enjoyed my little story time, and if you enjoy story times like this, let me know in the comment down below. Please don't forget to subscribe and comment, you know, let me have some sort of interaction and know how you like this video, and we'll come up, probably have one of this sometime later. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.